Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. We're just going to give a couple more minutes to see if there's any stragglers jumping in. So we'll be started shortly. Alrighty, I'll get us kicked off with just some quick rules of engagement for this call. Uh, Please, everyone, stay muted at the beginning. There will be a large portion for question and answers at the end. So if you want to hold your questions until then, you can either raise your hand and ask them verbally, or there will be the chat section as well where you can enter your questions. We'll try to get those on a first come first serve basis. The format of the call is just going to be have a couple parties with some initial statements, starting with CEO Mike Ruholo. Then we'll go from there. Then afterwards, like I said, there'll be a question and answer. This call will be recorded and provided afterwards if you want to review it or send to any parties that were unable to make the call. So I'll go ahead and kick it over to Mike.
Thanks everybody for joining. Very excited and happy to be here with you guys today. I know there's been a lot of confusion and unrest, and it's completely understandable from your guys' perspective over the last 6 months. And I'm just going to be completely transparent with you guys on how that's going and where we're at. Um, and where we're going to be going forward as a X Golf America, and where we see the future of X Golf America is going into the future. I just repeated future, but that's great. First off, the last 4 months, as you guys all have known, I have been on a leave of absence. That was determined by a judge in a settlement conference in Los Angeles back in July. That settlement conference was determined that Mr. Choi and his parties had 4 months to purchase my shares of X Golf America and essentially buy me out. Um, Obviously, we are here now 4 months later. Mr. Choi did not come up with the money, and I don't believe ever had any intention of coming up with the money. So now that's why you'll see that Ryan Choi is on a leave of absence. I guess I should
Don't
step back
need the
and
dirt,
because
right?
I guess I should step back real quick and say that a lot of you guys don't know the structure of X Golf America. And I think that's been a fault of everybody over the last 7 years of X Golf America. So I'm going to start right there. X Golf America was formed in 2019 as a partnership. Mr. Choi sold off at the time 50% of his shares to one group led by my mother-in-law, Kay Monfort at the time, and another group led by X Golf. There's a group out of Michigan. You guys know most of them. Since then, we also picked up an additional 25% of the shares, and also Ryan Darcy was involved with that. The board of directors consists of 2 seats with Mr. Choi, being Mr. Choi and Ryan Choi. 1 seat being from my group right here. It previously had 1 seat with Ryan Darcy, and then there was 1 seat with X Golf, the group out of Michigan. Um, that was headed by Brendan Hadley. Since then, Ryan Darcy has chosen to sell his shares of the company. And Mr. Darcy appointed Terrence Doyle as his recipient for the board of directors. Um, any decision essentially in the board of directors essentially takes a 66% vote. Um, Mr. Choi, being only 40% of the board, does not have authority on any of those decisions, obviously. They take a collective joint board agreement. After that, there was, the Michigan guys, even with the group out of Michigan, that would be 60% of the vote. So in order to fire an officer of the company, being myself, Patrick, the CFO, or anybody at the time, it takes a 66% vote of the board of directors. I'm not going to vote to fire myself. And Terrence Doyle is a very loyal person to what he sees us doing with X Golf. So there was no path forward to me leaving X Golf other than essentially being bought out by Ryan and Mr. Choi, which they have failed to do so at this time. Um, Going forward, we're just moving in a forward direction. We're moving forward from the past year from when I took over in November. Um, we have been going in a very positive direction. X Golf America year over year, same store sales is up about 15%, which if you talk to anybody in the franchise area, that's a very large amount in an economy that some would say is pretty shaky. Our goal is to duplicate that year over year sales up this upcoming year, and the same store sales for everybody up 15% again would be immense. Um, we are evaluating all business areas of X Golf America in order to maximize every individual franchisee's sales while minimizing your guys' costs. That is our main goal, is the success of each individual franchisee. If you guys are not successful, we are not going to be successful as a corporate team. So that goes to us being showing you guys more support. You guys have not received support in the last 4 months. I'm well aware of that. I was not allowed to talk over the last 4 months, um, and I was not allowed to be involved. I will be so involved right now that you guys might get sick of me, and that's fine. I will be heavily involved. Patrick's going to get into it much more later, but we're going to be so over communicative with you guys that um, you guys might not attend some of those meetings, and that's fine, but they'll be posted. Um, we are moving forward right now with a large staff here based out of Colorado. We're going to move a lot of the headquarters to Colorado for a multitude of reasons. The California landscape is very, very difficult on businesses from a financial perspective, from a tax perspective, and more. Also, being in California, in Colorado, will centralize the operations of X Golf America. So when people have computers or support systems or parts that break down and need to be immediately shipped out, we will have a staff on at all times that will be shipping those parts out immediately. And us being closer to everybody is going to help keep those costs down. We will also, it also makes sense for us to have the simulators here of our inventory uh, to keep the cost down for the new stores opening up. Having all of our simulators in California wasn't fair for the shipping costs for the stores out in Massachusetts and New York, just doubling your shipping costs. So we also are going to be fully staffed on um, producing a lot of the simulators in-house as far as um, platforms and padding going forward. I know Ross is going to touch on a lot of stuff that we're doing on the software side of things. We had a grand plan, 5 months ago to unveil a lot of brand new stuff to you guys at the conference. Um, that obviously got flipped, turned upside down. But we are moving forward with the conference. We are going to send out a letter or a questionnaire on what dates would you guys prefer for the conference. We are looking at end of February into March. So if you guys would just respond with what dates fit you guys best. that would be very helpful to get that conference back on, so that we can all move forward together in that area. Um, like I said, my main goal since I've taken over this position and our entire team here is the success of each individual franchisee. And I mean that with all of my heart. I really do. I want we're only as good as our worst store, and I don't want to call it the worst store. We're only as good as our lowest producing store. Um, but we want everybody to be successful. We don't want to see stores go out of business. We want you guys, and that's on us. We need to be better support for you guys. We need to show you guys what works over various markets. We've tested out a lot of things even over the last 4 months, but over the last 6 years we've been testing out a lot of different areas of the business that seem to be the most successful. We've looked at the stores that have failed at this time, and what were they doing that others weren't doing, and how did that cost them, and we have that feedback, we feel. um, but at the end of the day, we're going to make this a franchise, and we just need the buy-in of everybody to be a franchise. We can't be individual franchisees as a franchise. So we need to be everybody operating in the same capacity, in the same way. Um, there's going to be conversations that some people probably aren't going to be happy with. But it's at the end of the day, it's for the best of the company. It's for the best for X Golf America moving forward. And the best of X Golf America is each individual franchise being successful. We're gonna have full training out of here, out of Colorado. If you in the middle of January, if you get someone new on and they need to come out for training for 2 days, we're not gonna charge you to have them come out and here and training. The only thing that you would be responsible for would be um, their plane ticket and their housing, but we have a deal with a hotel right around the corner. We will sit here and personally train if it's 1 people, if it's 12 people. We have facilities set up for training in Colorado that aren't going to affect any stores' sales. They're also not going to be distracted by anything. It is a fully functional training facility, from food and beverage to the simulators to simulator repair to the software part of things, to the fixing of everything. Anything operationally involved with an X Golf, you guys can send someone out here and we will happily train them up. Um, we would really love more collaboration on every aspect of things. I'm very responsive to email. My door is an open door policy to everybody in this conference, everybody involved with X Golf America. Um, you also have my cell phone. You can text me, call me, whatever. I am very an open book. Like I've showed you today. I'm going to tell you everything that I know, and I feel that's the best way for us to move forward and be successful long term for X Golf America. Um, I've discussed all the stuff moving out to Colorado. We have got a lot of the inventory moved out to Colorado this time. There's still over the next week or two, we're still getting the remaining parts and pieces. So bear with us a little bit on that, but hopefully in time, your orders will be fulfilled at a much quicker level, at a much more efficient level as well. And because I know when a part goes down on a simulator in January, that is completely detrimental to all of us. And we just can't have that happen. And that's on us to be prepared for that. So I'm going to turn it over to Patrick right now. Um, but once again, my door is an open policy. We all work very closely together, and all of us have the same interests, and that's X Golf America being successful very long term. So go ahead, Patrick.
Thanks, Mike. Just want to reiterate what he said. Happy to see everyone, hear everyone. We're excited to be back. And really, my portion of this call is to speak on operations, the communication, the collaboration. And so that's what I'm going to do. It starts with this call, but it's definitely not going to end with this call. In terms of our franchise support, we will continue to do national webinars. That will, you can choose to join or not, but those are going to be important as we continue to strengthen our brand and make it more consistent. That's a key for ours moving forward is consistent brand. And I know Casey's going to speak to that a little bit more in terms of the marketing side of it. We're also going to be hosting regional webinars. These will be focused on stores within the same region, maybe the same climate type structures where they can start sharing best practices amongst each other. And we're gonna have those up to weekly basis moving forward. This is where we have seen where we need more in the efforts of moving forward. We need to be more communicative, more collaborative in those efforts, and we will continue to do that. On top of that, I will be hosting, whether it's me or Casey or Mike or Harry, or Ross for that matter, we will be hosting focus groups, reaching out to specific stores from anything about operations, software, how X-Golfs are run. Those focus groups are going to be important so that, again, we want your feedback, we want your collaboration, we want your support so that we can support you as best we can. Through Fran Connect, that we're basically doing I guess, continuing our efforts from about 5 months ago as we were upgrading that. We want to continue to upgrade that so it is a resource, a true resource for you. We're going to improve it as it's intended to be, which is that one-stop source for all things information, collaboration, communication. Moving to my next thing, trainings. Mike spoke about this briefly as well, but this facility here in Colorado not only will serve as our headquarters in terms of office space, but it's also our storage space. Also will be our training space. We have set this facility up almost as a mini X-Golf with a couple bays, a bar, and we will welcome any and everybody. If you want a new GM to come out for a day, 2 days, we don't care if it's a week. We have this door open for you, and we will set up those trainings for any existing franchises that want that training moving forward. We encourage you to take advantage of that and come out to Colorado. Again, we're not going to charge you for any training. The only thing you'll have to do is pay for your expenses to come out here. That training also will go for our new franchisees. We will continue to host those new franchisee trainings, but we can do it a lot more efficiently now, where we don't need a big group of new franchises to come all at one time at different times in their build process. We'll be able to choose when they come out, have our staff available for those people to ask any and all questions, and have those trainings available moving forward. So we're excited about that moving forward, not just for our existing franchises, but our new franchises where our calendars, we're not going to have quarterly trainings and some of those things. We will work with everybody individually on their timeframes when it works best for them. Moving on to franchise development operations. Again, our goal is to continue to work on those initiatives to improve overall system performance, whether that's operationally, software, on the marketing side. All of those items are very important to us, and we're going to continue to support those initiatives. In terms of standard operating procedures, we're going to have that. We're going to have an operations manual, new one, no later than December 31st of this year. That is basically to standardize those procedures moving forward as a franchise. The last updated one, I believe, is from 2022 or 2023, and it's not very in-depth, and we are making that way more in-depth, pertaining to all facets of the business. So we will be announcing that to everybody, putting it on to Fran Connect, but that operation manual is very important as we continue to grow consistency of our brand. With that, and with all of these kind of focus items, we will be much more transparent and much more data-filled, working with our franchises on new KPIs and dashboards with all facets of the business. We want to be transparent and have data-driven numbers for you, and we will continue to do that and improve upon those. And we open door for suggestions for some things that you would want to see. I know we get our franchise sales report, but that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. So I think it's important that we continue to provide that data and those dashboards, whether it's pertaining to marketing or operations or software, you know, the amount of play that's going into the simulators, all of those things, we finally have a good foundation for a lot of this, that we can start providing that data back to you, and that's going to be a goal of ours. Again, on the new franchisee, I know that we're talking to more existing franchises, but you know, for those, we're going to have those operational playbooks for any new market entries for people moving forward. And Anna is still with our team. She's in Michigan. You know, she's working really hard to continue to grow this franchise, and we're somewhat revamping our focus on how we attain new franchises throughout the country and do it in a smart way for our new existing franchises. So, you know, as we move forward together in this new chapter, our top priority is really to strengthen that foundation of our system to support every franchise more effectively, ensure a stable, productive year ahead. And with that, our team, whether it's myself, Mike, Casey, Anna, Ross, we're going to be reaching out, asking of our franchises for some information. It'll definitely allow us, and whether that's, you know, it could be any kind of information in terms of revenue, operational, software, all of that. We're going to be reaching out and asking for information. So we ask you to take that seriously so that we can continue to improve this this organization, this system moving forward. It's definitely going to give us a clearer picture of where we're at currently and where we can build this foundation and continue to move ahead. Again, that's really all I had for this call. Looking forward to the many more we're going to have. Again, doors are open here. I'm going to pass it on to Ross. I know Ross doesn't get a lot of airtime with all of you, and he's excited to share where we've been, where we are, and where we're going in terms of the software. I know that's a big piece, and a lot of people are asking. So, again, questions at the end, please, by all means, raise your hands, ask them, or put them in the chat. We'll be here as long as we need to be today to answer those questions. But I'm going to pass the torch to Ross and let him talk all things software.
Thanks, Patrick. I'll try and keep it brief. A lot to cover, but yeah, I'm going to speak a bit on the technical side of things. So safe to say 2025 was easily the wildest of my career. Back in December, things were pretty normal. We were hard at work on the course creation tools, and we had made a lot of progress in 4 months. We were working closely with a professional course designer to test the course creation tools that we were making. So our goal was not just to make Pages Paradise. We were creating the tools that would allow us to really make any course we wanted long term. So unfortunately, that was the project that Ryan Choi shut down in December. I want to say that it was pretty surprising that he didn't request a single demo. We spent about 3 minutes discussing the project. So we knew that you guys clearly want more courses in the simulator. It's something that we get asked for a lot. So in the spring of 2025, earlier this year, we completed a proof of concept that showed that we could run the Korean courses in the XGA software. So we could keep all the mobile app and the server work that we'd done, the integrated system, and still run the course content from Korea. We demoed this, and I would say that Ryan was not impressed would be an understatement. He actually fired me. I still don't know why he did this. Perhaps, you know, they saw it as a threat. I don't know. What we were really hoping for there was, you know, collaboration and innovation. You know, I think it was a real missed opportunity for Korea to focus on producing content, so we would get, you know, the content we needed while still got someone who's playing music there. Thanks, Andres. Um, so we would be able to still keep the same customized software platform while also, taking advantage of all this content that exists. There's about 40 courses that we actually haven't seen in North America, and they're just sitting there. So we were able to prove that we could get that working with excellent performance. But unfortunately, the interest was just not there. So unfortunately, we were also shut out of the Xgreen beta program this summer, so I can't talk about that either. So in the absence of really feeling like we were part of this strategy, we had to turn this into an opportunity to do a bunch of under the hood work. So you probably remember we launched the auto updater so we can get updates and bug fixes out to you much quicker. We updated the simulator code to use Unity 2022. It's another under the hood improvement, just means faster performance and less bugs. We added and improved Google Analytics for support so we can run reports on what our customers are doing on simulators. We can get information down to the individual simulators running at, or individual bays running at specific locations. We fixed some course bugs, some of which we had logged with Korea 3 years ago. We completely rewrote the mobile app that SiteCreate had written. Unfortunately, the code that they had used, older libraries and Band-Aids on Band-Aids. So we had to rewrite it in order to meet a Google deadline. And so we published that new version on Android in October. We will release a version on iOS soon, but we're looking to add features. The version we released was just at feature parity. We added Unity Cloud debugging, which works behind the scenes. So one of the challenges when we have the software deployed to 1,000 simulators is we know, like, you guys are busy. Customers are not always going to tell you when there's a problem. So what the Unity Cloud debugging does is it runs in the background. And whenever there's a glitch or even a hiccup with the system, we get notified. It goes up to a report that gives us the details we need to pinpoint exactly where those issues are happening. And we've used that information to fix bugs and push out updates. And the great thing about that is we know the moment that something happens. It's not the next day, it's the second that anything happens. We fixed some major structural problems with the code written by SiteCreate for the tournament management system. We ended up substantially rewriting almost all this code. We added a configuration system, which reduces the number of simulators launches we need to do to change ads and that kind of thing. We set up anytime server deployments, so we can do server updates without any downtime to the simulators. On the simulator side, we fixed dozens of bugs, including some high priority bugs that were locking up or crashing the simulator. And I want you guys to know anything that locks up or crashes the simulator or affects gameplay, for us, when we receive those reports, they're hair on fire. We prioritize those over everything else. We want the simulators should be rock solid. You know, if a customer wants to play, they should just be able to play with no problems. We've also been working with Harry to test the St. Andrews courses, the new Castle and Jubilee courses. We're now ready to do a wider beta. So in the chat, I'll post a link to a sign-up form so you can participate in that. In the medium term, we want to release as many courses as possible. There are about 40 of them that have only previously been seen that haven't been seen in North America. So we'd like to get those into circulation. And long term, we're looking at getting back to creating our own courses. So early in the new year, we will also be providing franchise owners and tournament administrators, access to our tournament administration tool, which is called Orion. We're starting with a simple view that will let you see results and scorecards for games played on simulators in your location. We have lots of ideas for features we'd like to add in the future, like tracking the number of balls hit in a given bay. But we also want to hear from all of you in terms of what features would be most useful for supporting, the running and of your franchises and the maintenance of the simulators. Now that Michael is back, we can finally focus on fixing player stats. We want to add driving range sessions to the mobile app. We've also spent the past few months working on a new data model, which will allow us to deliver things like real-time leaderboards, third-party integration with things like OnForm, in the future, reward programs, and eventually league management as well as a long-term goal. That's everything I had. I mean, it's a long list of things we'd like to do in the future. Obviously, caveat that with we're going to have to prioritize. We're a small but mighty team. We have 5 developers, and we'll be working with Michael and Patrick and the executive team to prioritize those features. That's it for me. Who's next in the?
I think Casey's up next.
Thanks, Ross.
Go ahead, Casey. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, so guys, big theme of what I'm going to talk about is going to be brand consistency. X-Golf is a franchise, right? So it's really starting to be time where we have to operate like a unified national brand. That doesn't mean that we're going to eliminate the ability to have local personality. I think that's super important to be a high-performing franchise, but it has to be built on a foundation of a consistent national brand. So there's going to be a lot of initiatives that we're doing to ensure that takes place, and that we're going to be asking for your cooperation in the things that we're asking to adhere to that national brand. So for a start, we're going to be releasing some new brand guidelines before January 1. So that's going to encompass everything, design, messaging, promotions, photography, social, website. It's a simple goal. Customers should recognize the X-Golf experience no matter which location they walk into, and the marketing efforts should feel consistent, and everything's just going to have to perform like one cohesive brand. We've already talked a lot about support, but I hear that as a consistent pain point from everybody. So it will be a major focus. First off, we're going to be increasing the frequency of marketing strategy webinars, starting with the one coming up on Wednesday to talk about league marketing strategy. So these sessions are going to allow us to share marketing tactics that I've seen work well, but also create a collaborative environment where stores can discuss what may be working in their area. The most important thing to evaluate marketing effectiveness is that we have to have a true tracking system that's not just clicks, that's not just impressions. We need to know when marketing dollars are being spent either at a national, regional, or local level. How are those generating revenue at your store? And from a digital perspective, the best way to do that is going to be digital bookings. Currently, systems like USchedule or Square Schedule, there might be a few more out there. They don't provide the adequate conversion tracking that's needed to evaluate any marketing dollars. We've talked about this in the last year, but that's a key piece to why we're pushing AQD scheduling. ROI tracking is so huge, and we can't optimize marketing dollars if we don't have visibility into how those marketing dollars are being translated into actual bookings into your store. Brand consistency, again, the experience that a customer gets when booking at one X-Golf should be consistent across another X-Golf. So having a fragmented experience is not good for the national brand, but it's not good for the local stores as well. And then Ross talked about the X Golf app. The great thing about Acuity is they have a robust API that integrates fully into the X Golf app, which is going to allow a seamless experience for customers. So there's going to be some coming announcements on that in the near future, but that again, we want to support the regional and local markets. But in order to effectively do so, we have to be able to track and know what's working and what's not. I've talked with a lot of you, and it seems to be really scattered on how effective your marketing dollars are being used. It's a guessing game right now. You can ask customers when they come in. We're going to have the ability to track, when a campaign is run, what type of traffic is being done on the website, and then how is that resulting into bookings in your store, and the ability to create a monthly report through Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager, where you're going to be able to see, marketing dollars spent both at a national and local level, and what type of results those are bringing. Co-op marketing, that's been a popular topic, I think, over the last 4 months. Absolutely something we want to do. We are building a formal co-op system, and already we're doing that before, kind of the shakeup over the summer, where XGolf can contribute marketing dollars towards best practice and proven marketing initiatives. But again, to reiterate the point, the initiatives have to be ROI trackable. If we can't measure the results, then how can we call it a best practice and effectively, put the funds towards the right things? And we can't be in a situation where funds are, going to unnecessary third-party media buyers that are taking commissions on the sale. XGolf America has the authority and the ability to media buy without any third-party intermediary. We'll receive the same media, or agency discount through these partners, and then we can effectively, allocate the spend and maximize the return on the investment. Brand ambassadors. Last year, a tough decision was made to move away from Paige and Max. They did a lot, I guess, to get our awareness to where it was at this point. But when we looked at it from an ROI and the obligation standpoint, in terms of what they were contractually obligated to do, that just wasn't getting accomplished. So we really want to be strategic and finding new faces of the brand, new ambassadors that are going to produce, both for the national brand, but on your local level. So we are actively pursuing those partnerships and hope to have some announcements in the very near future on some of those. Wanted to be brief here, but again, just to hit on that first support webinar is going to be this Wednesday. It's going to focus on league marketing strategies. I'll be demoing a strategy that I've seen work well across markets. Harry's going to be on to talk about the National Winter Champions League that's going to be coming soon, and we'll be able to answer questions there about some specific marketing initiatives. And like Mike said, I'm going to be over communicative about different strategies and different strategy calls that will be coming up in the very near future, and hope to see you there. Thank you.
So we'll probably just go down the questions now. The first question being from Eric out of Chesapeake. What's the cost to add more courses and the timeline to develop and implement? The cost to the franchisees is going to be nothing. That's part of our job. And the cost right now isn't really the problem, but I want Ross to dive into this. What's the timeline to develop? Are we talking about licensing courses, you guys? That there's costs associated with licensing courses such as St. Andrews. There's a different cost associated with coming up with our own course designer and him developing that course that doesn't take a licensing. I think that ideally we would like to come up with that course designer that doesn't require a licensing fee every year, so that we're well within the laws. Because just to let you know, once St. Andrews, if we didn't have a licensing deal with St. Andrews, once they get word that we're using their courses, they would hammer us. And the strategy for the previous group in the last 4 months was they don't care about licensing. We're going to be very protective of that. We're not going to try to expose XGolf America to anything that we don't want them to. Ross, maybe you could touch down on the timeline to develop and implement those courses, though, that we would develop on our own. As far as the Castle and the Jubilee and the new course, those are currently hopefully on track to be implemented I don't want to speak out of turn here, Ross. So I'm going to let you give us a timeline on that after the beta testing and stuff like that.
Yeah, we've been testing the courses with Harry's help just internally, but there's no substitute for actually testing it on as many simulators as possible, getting as many eyes on it, because at the end of the day, our customers are going to be the ultimate judge of quality. So it's incumbent on us to make sure that we've had enough eyes on it, as many eyes on it as we can, to make sure that it's a great experience for our customers. So that's the motivation behind doing a wider beta. From a technical point of view, publishing them is straightforward. That's basically a solved problem, but there's no substitute for wide testing.
Awesome. The next question was, is the upgraded graphics package back on the roadmap? And if so, is there a timeline for release? If we're talking about X-Screen, X-Screen is not on the board. X-Screen, X-Golf America has its own licensing deal, guys. So X-Golf Korea would love it if we used X-Screen. Now, X-Screen, Ross can explain it on a much more technical level, but has severe problems with it. The style of play in Korea is significantly different than the style of play in America. They don't drink alcohol when they play. They don't do anything when they play. They're strictly there to just train. Their swing speeds are not even close to what the swing speeds that we're having to deal with here in the United States. As far as on the graphics part of things, the new courses, the graphics actually look like it's St. Andrews instead of some course in the middle of a desert ocean. The bunkers are actually pot bunkers. They're not pieces of dirt. So those types of upgrades will be made throughout the courses. But other than that, as far as the X screen, the way it works is, and Ross has explained it to me, but they're bouncing stuff off everything in there. And that's why it takes a lot longer. That's why they also wanted us to buy, they wanted everybody here to buy all new computers essentially to make it work. So they were gonna, and then they also wanted to implement new cameras in there. We don't feel that that's necessary at this time to cost you guys an extra $70,000 per store. A, because not a lot of stores have $70,000 to just spend willy-nilly, and B, because it's not necessary. I think that if we upgrade the courses, and in turn, we are still fixing those bugs on the back end that Ross has talked about for the current courses, that you'll see a difference in the graphics as well. But Ross, tell me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the X-Screen and X-Golf share a common ancestor. So what happened 5 years ago is X-Golf America, we completely rewrote the software, and we made a bunch of performance improvements. So when you run the same content and courses, you get a 20 to 30% frame rate boost just running it in the X-Golf America software. The other thing is the simulator doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a system. And unfortunately, this is something that wasn't really taken into account with the X-Screen beta. Is in order for the tournaments to work, in order for the mobile app to work, you actually would have to add all those capabilities to the X-Screen software. It's not like you can just put it in there and everything works. It's put it in there and then you have 12 to 18 months of development to recreate all the things, the ecosystem that we already have around X-Golf America. Having control of the simulator software and the content actually gives us control over our destiny. So if if it's a great idea to do something like an on-form integration, we can do that and we can make it happen. It's not like we just put a request in a queue and then a year later it's like this doesn't really fit with our priorities. So those things are very important because this is what people show up to X Golf day in and day out to play. So the more we enhance that experience, the stickier we can make it, the better we can track what our acquisition and conversion rates are. The more we can bring people into the stores and keep them there with a great experience.
The next question was from Jared Paris, asking what type of computer hardware upgrades will be required. I understand, Jared, that the older computers are starting to, for lack of a better word, starting to fail from time to time. We are working on, just like we have over the last year. I am doing my best right now to bring down all the costs. That includes in computers, that computes everything that we have done before. I brought down all the costs of the parts. They need to be much more affordable for you guys in that situation. I don't foresee any extra required hardware upgrades at this time. And I'm getting a head shake from Harry and Ross, so that's a good sign. But as far as the computer goes, we are actively trying to get a better deal on computers. We did find something that was very interesting, that we feel that we can get those computer prices down at a much more affordable rate for you guys going forward. As far as the hardware of those, go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, I'll just say when we're testing the software, we use something called a min spec, which is the slowest computer that's out there. So we want even a computer that's 5 or 6 years old, we still want to deliver a great customer experience, and we have optimized the software to deliver that. Having said that, computers do have a lifespan. At 5 years, that's typically when you start looking at upgrades. When systems get to 7, 8 years old, is getting really long in the tooth. And so we'll be looking at ways to optimize that upgrade path where it's, we're keeping it affordable while at the same time still delivering that great customer experience. And we want to be able to, if a new video card is ready, will deliver like a premium experience. We don't want to sacrifice, the ability to play on the older systems, but we'd look more at how we can deliver a premium experience on premium hardware. So we do that by, just like any video game does, you can dial up the settings if you've got smoking hardware, but your base settings still give you a great experience.
Awesome. The next question was, what is the medium term for the 40 new courses being released? Is there a list of courses and a preliminary release schedule? The first schedule is going to be these 3 new courses from St. Andrews. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm hoping to have those by the beginning of the new year. Ross can tell me I'm crazy, and that's okay. But we are shooting for hopefully by the beginning of the year. We have tested them, but we need to keep testing them to make sure any problems that we have going forward. As far as the list of the 40, that it's a little too early right now. I've been back in this position for 12 days, so I just need a little bit more time to understand that with Ross. Me and Ross are talking every day. That includes weekends every day. Me, Ross, Harry, Patrick, the entire team, we're all in here every day right now trying to figure out the quickest solutions going forward. And we understand that courses is at the top of everybody's list. As a company, we've got 1 new course over the last 7 years. So we need to change that. So Harry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that the new courses, when they are ready to release, will require a Unity update. So that's where the timing of it is going to just be, we've got to figure that out before we give set a date for actually releasing them. So.
Awesome. We'll move on to the next one. Jared again asked a very good question. Is there any concerns about securing simulator parts or hardware items with all the change in leadership and the relation? I would assume in regards to the relationship with Korea. There is not a concern. We have a licensing agreement. We are the only authorized dealer of any X Golf parts. And it would behoove them to sell us their simulators and their parts, as we are the number one source of income for X Golf Korea. They are beholden to us for anything that goes with the parts and the simulators, and that includes all of the United States of America, as well as Canada and Mexico. Do we have plans to go expand into Mexico? Not at this time, but we do have plans to expand into Canada, as it seems like just a much better market for us. But no, there's no concern. We have a lot of inventory. I will tell you right now, there is a lot of inventory on parts and everything, so there shouldn't be any concern there. As far as computers, computers do not come from Korea. So we will get computers from here. Projectors do not come from Korea. We'll get them here just fine. And any other parts that we can manufacture here out of the United States, we will look into that, see what we could do about that. So, but there is no concern going forward. Will the franchisees have a vote in the brand ambassadors? Can we partner with existing course design companies?
I'll do the
Casey, I'll
ambassadors
let-
real quick.
Yep.
Yeah. We definitely want your input. If you have people that you think would be great fits, again, open door policy. We want to be communicative. Obviously, we have to be cognizant of, you know, terms and contractual agreements. I think the biggest thing we're looking for in a partner is a true partner. It has to be someone that's going to be an advocate of X Golf America, not just, you know, checking the box and fulfilling their contract. We need someone who's going to go out and really tell the story of X Golf in the right way. And it's not someone that we're having to like continually follow up to try to get them to fill their obligations. So we want to make sure they have an enthusiasm on the brand, which obviously isn't for everybody.
And yeah, like Casey said, we need someone to believe in the brand, and we are actively talking to many people that actively believe in the brand, that are to professional athletes, to professional performers. I don't know if it necessarily has to be a golfer. I wouldn't say that 90% of my the customers in our stores are great golfers. They just want to be regular people. I think that the one they probably could relate to most would be John Daly, and there's a reason for that. John Daly is, you know, just wants to go out, have fun, and hit the ball as far as he can, and probably smoke a couple cigarettes and have some M&Ms and Diet Cokes. So we want people that believe in the brand. We want people that live and breathe the brand, and we don't have to beg them to come into an X Golf. I mean, that's not what we want. We have had discussions with a lot of people, and we're going to continue those discussions and find the right person. Existing course design companies, I'll leave that up to you, Ross. I don't know what that even looks like right now. I don't.
Yeah,
What that-
I can speak to that briefly. So back in the beginning, well, at the end of last year when we were working with a course designer, they make courses in a software product called GS Pro. That's pretty. There's different. Basically, these the courses for GS Pro and other products are not compatible with X Golf. We need to make custom tools to make courses that are compatible with X Golf, and it's just that the courses are described in different languages almost. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. The next one was the development of a new ball that's more compatible with our simulators. I'm going to let Harry take this over, as you're right, Nick, that we did have a prototype developed. Those conversations were shut down 5 months ago. It is a very, very high priority for us, as The TaylorMade balls have been good. They are a real golf ball. It has been good, but I would say that it does not meet our expectations of perfect. But I'm gonna let Harry take that.
So yeah, I see another comment in there about specifically misreads. The TaylorMade ball was never designed for our system, and that's where the problem lies. So the Korean markings that are on the ball were specifically designed for our simulator, and we've been working with a company to try to provide us with a ball at a cost that we can handle and a good performing ball that will alleviate a lot of those problems. But obviously, those talks and those things got shut down 5 months ago. We've been trying to get those talks back going and see if we can get some, larger type prototype options in. So we might be able to test them in a few more facilities, and along with trying to, go down to some other companies to have similar conversations, see if we can drive the cost down as well to try to make sure that we can deliver a golf ball that is much more consistent regards to the cameras that are 10 to 15 years old that are sitting in your bays also. So trying to make a ball that is much more effective and durable is definitely a long-term goal of ours. But it's all about cost at the end of the day and how much these companies are willing to do them.
Oh, thanks, Harry. The next one was probably Casey can help out with this. Any API integration with POS/booking system?
Yeah, so Acuity has a initial integration with Square. I'm not going to say it's the greatest integration ever, but it does get them talking. There are further integrations that you can set up using tools like Zapier. So we'll certainly look into those. Like, not going to say it's the 100% perfect system, but it helps us accomplish some initial goals that need to be set up. And again, I'm going to reiterate the tracking piece, like that's super important, and then the app integration to deliver customers a better experience. And then we can really prioritize things like Square integrations to make sure that's a fully 100% functioning tool. The reality is that's just maybe a little bit lower on the priority list, because without that, you can still run a highly functioning store. Some of the highest performing stores are already working off Acuity. So again, there is initial integration. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but we will certainly continue to explore those and see how it could be a better system talking to Square POS.
I think the next one's for Ross again. Can we add app functionality to include signing up for a bay capture of user-driven driving range data, etc.? So I think you touched on that, Ross. I think we are doing the driving range data. I'm not sure what we mean by signing up for a bay. If we're
Probably
talking about
scheduling.
if we're talking about signing up for a specific bay, I would highly discourage people from picking a specific bay, as all of our bays should be the same. Go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, I think in that vein, we're looking at moving the save and game files off the individual bays and into the cloud so that you'll be able to move a customer from one bay to another. In terms of where that is in the timeline, there's a lot of conversations that we're having right now, and we'll keep you updated in terms of where that lands in terms of the roadmap.
Okay, great. Jen had a question. We're noticing issues with our T units not computing after the updates. New or old computers, we had 4 brand new T units, each had issue, and then next day they worked fine. Is this an issue, or is it on our radar, and is it an issue that we should expect in the future? Do they need to order new computers at this point? I don't believe that's the case, but Ross or Harry?
I've not heard this issue. I've not heard that after a new update, the auto tees stop working. If there's some more specific data that you can provide, that would be helpful in us maybe trying to nail down if something like this is an issue. We will take a look at it, add it to our list, and see if there is something going on from that side. But I had not heard that issue, no.
Okay. So we'll take that. We'll write that down, Jen. We'll get a hold of you on that. Might be a one-off issue. So John L asked, is there a plan to be fully independent from Korea, or will there be a need for ongoing cooperation between XGA franchisees and X Golf Korea? That's a very good question. The plan is that we are our own entity, but they do produce the simulators. And we all obviously got into X Golf because of the simulators, right? So, but they are also incentivized, and it behooves them very much so to cooperate with us on the simulators and parts. We're going to try to be as independent as possible because it only makes sense. Us being, we're so different than every one of their other entities. In Korea, you have to understand. I've explained it. The golf is different in Korea. I've been over there multiple times. The golf is different in Australia. The cost of stuff is just different in Australia. They have 25 franchises throughout Australia and New Zealand. We have 150, and we're looking to go to 250 to 350. They don't have those plans. They don't have the people to deal with that. They don't have the population. So yes, in a little bit that we are trying to be our own entity. Going forward. But we still are going to need to rely on them for the simulators. But that is in an agreement, and it is very, very solid, the agreement. And like I said, we have a ton of inventory right now. We are not concerned on an inventory aspect of things right now, but it's a good question. But as far as software, we own our own software. We have no ties to Korea on software, and that's how we would like to keep it. I think that that's better for everybody here because they didn't even know what a scramble was until we presented it to them 4 or 5 years ago. So I know that's a huge function because they don't do scrambles in Korea. They don't even have left-handed golfers in Korea. When I am a left-handed golfer, when I went over to Korea, they had nowhere for, they had bays that didn't even allow me to swing on them because there was no openings for a left-handed golfer on these bays. So they have right-handed only bays over there. So it's a different model, and it works for them. They're much lower cost on a lot of things. So yes, we would like to be fully operational by ourselves eventually, but right now we do require them for the simulators. But they're going to be cooperative on that aspect of things because we're their main driver of revenue. So if they want to have no revenue going forward, then I guess, don't deal with us, but they have to. Is the technical support team remaining intact? I personally find our tech support very helpful and want to remain confident in that. Yes, Mike, the technical support team is remaining, and it's actually being improved and buffed up even more. We've had reports from multiple franchisees over the last 4 months that they haven't got a simulator fixed in 3 weeks. To me, that's unacceptable. The simulators, we are on a 24/7 support here in Colorado, and even out of LA, they're gonna provide some of the support as well. Um, is there any other personal changes in the corporate team? Recently, Scott McGavick has gone. Scott McGavick came on as a 4 month stopgap because Scott McGavick was never approved by the board of directors. Scott McGavick got Ryan Choi's email from somebody and created a stink over that caused the last 4 months of everybody's uh, troubles. So no, Scott McGavick was contract was up November 17th, and Scott McGavick will not be working with X Golf going forward. Um, Patrick Armstrong is the chief operating officer as approved by the board of directors. Um, and Patrick runs Patrick has more experience in operations than Scott has ever. Scott's never been in a store, so Scott doesn't understand the operations of a store. So that will cover that. There's no other changes at this time. Are the challenges to X Golf America leadership over or just on pause? It's the same thing how it was in the last 4 months, Dale, except it's flipped, essentially turned around. And in 2 months, if we cannot have a group that buys out the other groups, then it would go back to previously before all this started would be June 13th. So no one here will be affected on jobs. You'll still have this same team. There will just be unfortunately, but hopefully there will be a resolution by the middle of January on that end of things. Another question for you, Ross, is XGolf software, is it written in Unity?
The simulator software, yes, we use C# in Unity, and then the server software is primarily Java, and we're using a technology called Expo that's based in React Native for the mobile app.
Okay, thank you. Pete asked, the new courses would be great and necessary, but is there any plan for more games? As far as the 10 putt challenge, it takes about 6 minutes to perform. It doesn't keep people on our bays. Go ahead, Ross.
I had a quick look in Google Analytics, so this is not in-depth analysis. There's a couple. The headlines are probably 1 or 2 out of 100 folks who get on the simulator actually engage with these experiences, and that engagement is unfortunately declining over time. So over the past year, probably about half as many people are engaging with it. Content. I've worked in other businesses that were content driven. It's kind of a curse and a crown. It can really drive engagement, but you want to make sure that you're measuring those experiences to make sure you're hitting the mark, because producing content can be quite expensive, and you want experiences that actually engage people more deeply over time. So I think longer term, this is a question that we'll be looking at once we have better metrics in place for engagement. But content's expensive, and you want to make sure you're getting bang for your buck. And right now, that looks like more courses, new courses, the first new courses in 7 years. I didn't know it had been that long. So, yeah, I think that's the best way to get the most bang for our buck right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. What is the plan to work with Square to be able to report on outstanding gift card sales and outstanding balances? As far as you can, on your local side with your local gift cards, you can already get that report. As far as on the national side, we do have that report, but we cannot tell where they came from, and they can still be redeemed at stores, and you will still have those royalties taken off for that, for any national gift cards that are redeemed at your store. So those will still be taken off. But am I reading that question correctly, Casey?
Yeah, and Brett, if you want to follow up, if there's something you feel like you're not able to see, we can get you connected with the right people at Square that'll get you taken care of.
Will we be working on a better quality, more affordable replacement parts, turf mats, screens? Yes is the answer, except we did cut the cost of all these about a year ago by about 80%. So we made them as affordable as possible. Are we looking at the quality? Yes, we have been. We were looking at the quality 6 months ago and how we can improve those. We will pick that up again. But as far as the costs we've cut the cost down by close to 80%. So we're not making almost anything on the parts, guys. I'm not going to charge you guys for parts other than we need to cover our costs from Korea. That's where we get the parts from. So if we can get the parts somehow made here, then if that affects the cost of the parts in a positive fashion, we'll continue to look at those options. Yes. Is Soshi platform back as part of marketing? Casey, I'm gonna let you handle that one.
No, Soshi will be moving away with. Been with them for over 4 years. To be honest, it's a very expensive program, and the decision was made solely on your guys' engagement. I think we were sub 25% of locations that were utilizing the platform. So after 4 years at that point, it makes sense to move away and invest in something that's going to get a better return on your guys' investment. We will be making some announcements in terms of social content, social strategy in the very near future. That's going to, again, putting more support, more content in your guys' hand and have a real effective social media strategy, both on a national and local level.
The next question was, is there any improvements with regards to accuracy, specifically misreads and I assume spin? The answer is yes, but it does take a lot of effort on the local franchisee side as well. You need to make sure that your camera is actually operating correctly. You need to make sure that it's a good ball in there, which we talked about the ball. We're going to try to improve the ball. The ball has a lot to do with it. And the misreads, we understand the misreads is a little bit of an issue. We're going to curb it as much as we can. Harry, you can explain this a lot better than me, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there is some quality control to just making sure that the aperture settings there are correct on the spin cameras. The spin cameras are set correctly, or the location is pointing in the right direction. Those are the two main things that I see. Making sure that your lasers are, perfectly aligned, in your building, trying to make sure that you're doing, monthly bi-monthly checks on your simulators to try to make sure everything is set correctly. And if you're not sure what those things are, then please reach out and we can, go through those. And, some of those, in-person Colorado trainings, we'll be going through a lot of that stuff, trying to make sure that we have a better handle, or you guys have a better handle on how these things are actually supposed to be set up, how you can check them, and how you can make them more efficient. But, in relation to spin, the ball is a big part of that conversation.
Go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, one thing that I'm excited about, which is with this new data model and moving game sessions to the cloud, is we'll be able to run analytics much like we do with the bug reporting. We'll be able to look at the inputs and outputs of the hardware and get a sense of how those systems are performing. It's a longer term vision, so it's going to take some time to get there, but that's definitely, having the data is the first step, and I'm really looking forward to collecting all that info.
Harry, go ahead and take, are we expected to plan to continue with Golf League Guru, Golf Genius, or integrate them? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're still evaluating Golf Genius as a whole. We still have a partnership with Golf League Guru that runs out in October, and we're still having conversations with them. They are providing live scoring coming up. I've talked to Jason; he's got some new things on the horizon for himself. The big obstacle with Golf League Guru is the cost, or with the Golf Genius is the cost, and that's the conversations that I pretty much had with them. I can sit here and we can have a longer conversation about the differences between the two, but what we're looking for is more brand standards. We want to go with one or the other. We don't want multiple versions out there. We want our franchises to provide the same level of visual things that happen when you walk into one X Golf versus another one. So this is a conversation that we definitely need to come to a conclusion on and close the door on one of those versions, because there's no need to have multiple versions of these.
And as it currently sits, we have no plan to continue with, or to move forward with Golf Genius. The cost is astronomical, and I've got people asking me about lowering the parts of the cost of parts, which is fantastic, and which we're trying to do. And then they want us, I have other people saying we should spend thousands of dollars on a league app. I think that those are something that we have to take into account. Go ahead, Terry.
The other aspect of that too is the integration part, and Jason with Golf League Guru has been very open, and we've been very open with him about what we can integrate and how we can integrate. So those are conversations that we're continuing to have with Golf League Guru going forward. But Golf Genius is their cost is ridiculous, honestly.
Can franchisees be copied on or provided the bug reports that are automatically sent to corporate? What is the status on that, Ross?
Yeah, where the bug reports end up is in a Unity portal. They're pretty technical and in depth, so it's not obvious from the bug report what someone sitting at the simulator would actually see. What we see is the stack trace, and where paperclip has ended up in the conveyor belt. So not necessarily, I would say, outside of a technical person, not that useful. But whenever we publish the release notes for a new release, we do list out the bugs that were patched. We try and balance between being too technical and just providing too much detail. But if ever anyone wants all the technical details, just give me a ring, because I am more than happy to chat your ear off about the technical details or of bugs that we've fixed. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah,
We just try and
and-
keep things readable. That's really what it is at the end of the day.
Jeff, your question on the courses, will they be real courses? Like I said before, real courses take licensing agreements. So we do have one with St. Andrews, obviously. But our focus going forward would probably be, as you said, made up courses, our own design of courses, so that we don't have to pay, that we own that course. The courses that you saw on X Screen, Desert City, whatever those all were, they were all the same course. They just put different landmarks in there. They put the Statue of Liberty, they put the building in Abu Dhabi, and they moved the holes around. They were pretty much all the same course, which would not be something that we would be doing. That's not the point of 40 new courses. It would be, we would have to fix that up a little bit, but they just, because you put Statue of Liberty inside of it doesn't make it a New York course when it's surrounded by water. I know you guys in Long Island are, I get that, but doesn't scream New York to me. So Silas said Golf 918 would be a great one to look for integration. They're focused on sim businesses, so that's more of a comment, which is great. There's a Shane S asked for a requested feature to allow countdown time tracking on the simulator. We've heard this before, and it's completely understandable, because some customers can get a little bit ornery, I guess. But our employees should be checking on these people every 15 minutes, and they should be giving them 15-minute warnings and 5-minute warnings. And if they don't get off at the time during your busy season, we've walked up and we have shut off their computers before. So you're done. Please go back, and they don't get that mad. Go ahead, Ross.
Oh, I'd just say that this is a feature that's probably medium term in terms of the integrations that it requires and the changes in technology. But it is a feature that we've talked about. It just hasn't been assigned a priority, and in the upcoming discussions, we will figure out where it fits on the roadmap.
Yep, and this, to your point again on the continuing discussions, we have Eric is asking about changing the pin placement. We have yes is the answer to that. We have been discussing that, and we were trying to implement that a while ago. But yes, changing the pin placement changes every course. So if we have 3 pin placements at every course, now we go from 45 courses to 135 courses. So it really does make a big difference. And so we're also looking at adding tee boxes, I believe. Some of the courses are just too short, and some of them could be shortened up. So we would love to add tee boxes as well. As far as the feature on to skip putting altogether, that pretty much goes against X Golf, our motto, and our short game being so good. So we don't have a plan on to have a feature of skipping the putting anytime soon. That's what TrackMan does, because their putting is not good enough. That's what Foresight does, because their putting is not good enough. Our putting is good enough. Once people get through 1 or 2 holes, they don't ask to switch the putting. And it also would just, if we didn't have putting, we couldn't really do leagues the way we do leagues. So that's why no one can do leagues the way we do leagues. So changing pins is good. Is there a way to add a lateral drop option for shots that are too deep in the woods? That's a really good question. Because sometimes they're so far deep in the woods, Ross, that even when you take the unplayable lie, you still can't even get out of the weeds. So that's a really good question. I guess it would be where we would have to do it where it last crossed into that area. Um, Technically, I don't know what that takes, but we will look into that, I would assume.
I mean, as the golf guy at the groom, if you hit it that far offline, man, I'm go back to where you hit it from to a certain degree also.
I understand, but I understand, Harry, but the point also being is
For
that
pace of
that
play and all
slows
that stuff.
pace of
I
play.
get it.
That's gonna
I
slow
get
it
it.
down.
I'm just saying for
I
my own
get it.
sanity.
Hey, I end up there, so I know what it's like. So, what prevents Korea from raising the parts prices unreasonably? That's a good question, Dave. We do have a contract with them, and I will negotiate that contract so that they cannot raise the prices uncontrollably. So they're not allowed to have a unreasonable raise in any of the simulators parts right now, currently as it stands. Um, so yes, we do have a long-term agreement, supplier agreement in place with them with pricing parameters. I think it could be more specified, and I'm going to work on that, and I can handle that. But yes, we do have that. Any plans to have a technical support available during East Coast timeframes? I think yes is the answer. These guys know that they're going to be, they could be 6 a.m. here in the Mountain Time, which is also a benefit to us moving a lot of the operations in the Mountain Time. We're 1 hour closer to you guys on the East Coast, where a majority of our stores obviously reside. But they're getting, we're going to have people on shift on the weekends. And nights and days and mornings. So yes is the answer, David, to that one. You need to be helped as soon as you open. If you have a problem and you submit it the night before, our guys will get on it, and they'll be the second you open at 9 a.m. on the East Coast, 7 a.m. Eric Hill will be on the phone with you, figuring this out. So yes is the answer to that. I know that's a frustration. Do I understand correctly that the Koreans only make the simulators and thus only really affects new franchisees? No, Chet, they do make the parts as well, remember? So, and we're not trying to dissolve our relationship completely with Korea. We want them to continue to make excellent simulators, but they also providing you guys with parts. Right now, we have no way of making those parts. So we need the parts and the auto tees. And I'm not saying that we can't make those in the future, but right now we do not have that ability to make those. So we all need Korea to work with us, and they will. They will. I'm very confident in that. So uh Pete's saying that the putting challenge sucks. I get it, but the competition has 240 courses and games. Mike, or I would his competition. So I would assume, TrackMan. And it's a good point, Pete. I would love to see TrackMan's numbers. They won't tell us those numbers as far as how many people are playing Angry Birds on TrackMan. You know, who started to go to those types of games was Top Golf. And I don't know if you've seen in the recent news, Top Golf got absolutely hammered on their valuation, and Callaway is very, very regretting that purchase. So the gimmicky games just don't keep people at our base for 2-3 hours. What does is tournaments and leagues and competitions. So if we could focus on those seem to be the revenue generating drivers of our locations. Because when they're at your location for 2-3 hours, they're going to drink more, they're going to eat a couple things. Um, any chance we could put an 18-hole mini golf game in the software like PopStroke? I don't think that's a bad idea. I really don't think that's a bad idea. So yes, I guess we'll look at that. I think that's a good idea going forward. I think that would be less production as well. Ross, you could tell me if I'm wrong on that, but it would definitely bring the kids more involved. I would love to get back to when we first started. A lot of you guys aren't aware of it. There was a moonlight course for kids that was very, very good as far as 50-yard shot that you just hit down a tree trunk or something like that. They could putt it from there, and it kept the kids more involved and stuff like that. So I'd love to get back to either that or something as well. And the mini golf thing is a pretty good opportunity for that. I think that would lead into tournaments. Patrick, did you have any comments on that?
No, I agree. I'm actually was looking ahead to Pete's about the engagement for some of this at parties and things, and that is a real idea, because it is when these games are being used at parties, it can be a promotional driver. We just have to realize where that priority stands and what percentage of that revenue will make up for us creating all of these games. I think that's something that we need to dig into the numbers a little bit more. And I agree with you. During events, those games are great for the non-golfer
Yep.
people. So that's important, and that's heard. And I think that's an internal discussion that we'll have with Ross and team, and see how we can prioritize some of those games to make them user-friendly for events, while also, building what we know our base is the golf courses, and keeping people on the base for coming multiple visits and multiple times a week or a month for hours at a time. So that's definitely heard, and we'll definitely look into that.
Yeah, all the other people were saying those are obviously great ideas, which I think it's a great idea. Yeah, especially for events, we're starting to get into holiday parties and stuff like that, definitely. And it's also a way to get people more involved in the summer times. So that's great feedback. What's the likelihood we could set up our defaults to allow for, say, putting view 4? I think that's a far superior to our stock setting of putting view 1. I think if your customers prefer that, I guess you could do that. But a lot of all the other stores are used to the other putting view right now, and changing the putting view would, especially during the middle of leagues, would be really, really. We would get a lot of complaints.
We'll take a look at it also. I mean,
Yeah, we could
we'll
definitely take a look at it. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Last one. In regards to course design, have we looked at building future-esque, unrealistic fun courses similar to TGL? Yes. That would be the goal, right? Is we create our own fun courses that are not tied into someone with a licensing agreement. And that's where a course designer could come in, and we would approve those. Obviously, we've got a couple golf people on staff that TGL was awesome. And I think it was awesome for us, guys. I really do think it was awesome for us. And I think it could be awesome for us going forward. But they did have really wacky fun courses, right? But we don't want to get into a point where it takes a 300-yard carry over a space system, because majority of our golfers aren't Justin Thomas, unfortunately. So we do make them realistically playable, but at the same time fun. I agree completely, and our own, and we can make one that's designed like an X for X golf or something. Like, I don't care, something. I'm just spitballing right now, but yes, we have that ability to do that, and that would be our goal. Right now, the first is we have these courses from St. Andrews already developed, and one of them's really hard, just to let you know. So I think it's a good test, and it's a good way to test out everything. So go ahead, Patrick.
No, I was just say Ross put a link way up in the top for that beta testing to sign up. We'll also follow up after this call with a link for that beta testing for the St. Andrews courses. So please, if you want us to put those courses on one of your bays, by all means, sign up on that link that was provided above, or in the subsequent email coming.
Okay, the next question was, is there a plan to add other options besides double par max? They're talking bogey max or par max. Not really sure where the question's coming from. I mean, I get that there's some bad golfers, and sometimes they take a long time to get to double par on a par 5. Completely understandable. But for competitions and for competitive play and for protection of field, we probably need to keep it at just double bogey max or double par max. But Harry, what am I What's your
I
thoughts
mean,
on that?
that's one of the things that, probably it's a nice to have, but it's going to take some time a little bit to develop that,
Mhm.
make sure it works, all that stuff. So we'll put it on the list as the, nice to have, and we'll prioritize it when we can get to, something like that.
Awesome. Ricky said he has a way to display the time overlaid on the screen. So if you guys want to reach out to Ricky, that's fantastic. If that helps you guys out. What is the plan to exporting driving range data when where it can be emailed out to customers or have it tied up to the app? Similar TrackMan competition.
That was one of the reasons for the, rebuilding of the mobile app, so we could add those features and do things like that, because the previous version, it just wasn't in the cards to be able to do that. So we are, very aggressively trying to make that happen.
And Ross spoke to that a little bit earlier about the cloud. All that data currently is sitting on the computers themselves. Once we can get that data to the cloud, we can start seeing a lot of that data get out to our customers. That's the short gist of it. I know there's a lot more technical to that, but definitely been talked about and definitely a priority.
And Bobby, I do hear you as far as your concerns about sticking to the X Golf model. And that was the beginning of our entire talk here is we are a franchise and we do need to act more in the franchise instead of just a franchisee model. But people, we would love to hear everybody's feedback at the same time. We're not saying we're know-it-all, but I think that this is a great opportunity for everybody to provide feedback, and going forward, please provide feedback and we'll take a look at all of it. I'm not saying we'll implement everything of it, probably not, but there might be stuff that we haven't thought about that could benefit everybody, but we will expect everybody that when we make those decisions, everybody to be bought in. But your concerns are heard. And we are X Golf, and I'm very confident that we are far superior to TrackMan. We are, they are our competition. I get that. They can't do leagues the way we could do leagues, and that's where we need to focus. They just can't do it the way we do it. The environment is just different for us guys. And if we can focus on the league aspect of things and really, really pump those up, leagues and tournaments are just more competitive when you're actually putting things out instead of two putt on the screen. So the better golfers are going to come to us and the people that want to have better competitions. Now we need to have better prizes and we are working on that. We will have better prizes going forward. And so it's a double-edged sword for both of us. We all just need to keep the path of that. Is there an opportunity to have a match play function for league play? I don't think that's a bad question. I don't know if it's necessary specifically just for league play, but I know that in Colorado we have run indoor outdoor tournaments and we have run match play on those, and we've had to keep them on Google Sheets inside.
Yeah.
And we run the Ryder Cup and all that stuff
So
through those. Go ahead, Harry.
I'll just expand on that one a little bit. So yes, the match play on the simulator is definitely something I would like to see. I would like to see a more robust best ball format as well, where the mobile app handicap can drop right into the simulator with stroke allocations for every golf course, being able to pop right up on the simulator, so we can be able to have match play competitions and things like that within your facility, or even, in the future, maybe even having some type of a, competition from store to store based on those kind of things. But being able to add the handicap into that process is what I think is important. But adding the actual format, I think, is actually not overly difficult. It just might take some more planning time on our part.
And then Jeff with a very good question. When we're talking about all this, all being unified and all being together, the talk of uniforms has been brought up specifically in this office in the last 2 days. And yes is the answer, Jeff. We are working with multiple vendors so that we can get those prices down for you guys, so that everybody looks the same. So it looks like we're going into a McDonald's, so it looks like we're going into Dick's Sporting Goods or something like that. We should all be looking the same. Agreed, as employees.
Adding to that, Mike, we want communication, we want collaboration. If people have relationships across the country with any vendors that might be beneficial, I don't care whether it's for clothing or what. Please, by all means, share that. We want to be collaborative on this, and we want to all be, you know, rising tide lifts all boats. So you might have relationships that, you know, we don't have, or vice versa. We want to hear those things. So if you guys have anybody in mind, or for this or any other kind of vendor space, by all means, send it to us. Not saying we're going to do it every time, but we want to hear it and have those conversations.
The next question was regards to the mobile sim and its availability going forward. The answer is yes, it's going to be much more available this upcoming year at a much cheaper rate. We are currently working on improving it. In the last probably about 5 months ago, we purchased a semi truck for X Golf America. They were pulling this giant mobile simulator with a dually truck that was causing, every time that thing moved, it was about a $20,000 bill. So this semi truck has improved its efficiency immensely, and we got it for nothing, essentially. So the semi truck is going to be of great value, and we would love to work with you guys on what works in your areas at a much more affordable price. And maybe that's part of the co-op dollars that we do with you guys. But yes, that is a tool that needs to be utilized at a much more efficient rate. We would love to get some kind of tour going on it, with it being posted on the internet and where it's at and the location. But yes is the answer to that. We need to do a much better job. The problem with the PGA event and the Corn Ferry events is they're pricey. To be inside a PGA or a Corn Ferry event, just a Corn Ferry event, I believe is $20,000 just to have a spot inside their facility. So, I mean, we're not opposed to it, but it would have to be beneficial at the end of the day to X Golf America, and the cost would have to make sense as well. But we could do it throughout other events. We were talking with other events. They don't have to necessarily be golf events. I think that we can get to other events that can show our brand in the same way and be very beneficial to us, such as the Daytona 500 we were talking to, the Kentucky Derby, other major events that hundreds of thousands of people go to, that they might not be the best golfers in the world, but I don't think that we have the best golfers in the world at our facilities on a day-to-day basis. I hope we don't, because we don't want them. We want the guys that want to golf just for fun and have fun and enjoy it while enjoying some competition. So we are open to all ideas. We're open to conventions. We're open to all this stuff. So yes. Okay, Jared just saying he has an option for some staffing shirts as well. So is there any other questions at this time? Like I said, we are very focused on moving forward. We're very focused on the success of each one of the franchisees' success. It is the utmost importance of ours. As we continue to expand, there are certain areas that people will expand, but I will let you know that we've got, if I haven't told you before, we have a system called Buxton that won't allow us. It's going to tell us that I'm not going to impede on your guys' territories. And I know what the territory says in the FDD, but I'm not going to overlap customers just to get a new store in there. That is not the goal of us. Our goal is quality over condensed quantity. I'm not going to hurt one of you guys just for the Rob Peter to pay Paul. It's not going to make a lot of sense for us. So we used to have a monthly newsletter. Tom, the answer is we'll get that monthly newsletter back up and running as soon as possible. Yes. The deal with rental clubs company. Yeah, sticks are not good. I've said that from the beginning. Sticks are not good. Let's have a conversation with Harry Pete on the side as far as what our options are for rental clubs. But yeah, the sticks are not good. Agreed. I'll give it 5 more minutes or another minute here. And if anybody has any questions, please just come forward. If not, we are all available. Our phone numbers are posted on Fran Connect. Those are our phone numbers. So I know most of you guys can contact me at any time. Um,
I'll answer that.
Go
I'll just
ahead.
go into the aspects of rental clubs and stuff. Yes, we Skip Sticks was not very good. Um, Rental clubs are difficult because of the breakage, and the club companies are also aware of this problem. They don't want to keep just sending you driver after driver after driver. So it is a problem. The company we were working with the prototype ball was interested in helping us with a program. So we are still very much in the weeds of trying to figure out the best solution for that going forward. Just from us in Colorado, Callaway Pre-Owned was very good for us in dealing with the rental club problem, especially for drivers. We would order drivers, and if they broke, we would send them back, and they would fix them with the warranties. Or you can use the demo programs from most of the club companies, even TaylorMade right now. If you do have those kind of demos, they will replace them for free. But we definitely need a bigger, better solution when it comes to rental sets that is more unifying across all the franchisees than everybody just getting their own. So it's definitely something we're continuing to figure out.
And Eric, to your question is, we hope to have more than just quarterly meetings like this. Like I said, Casey, we're gonna hopefully have a weekly topic that we send out. If you guys don't attend it, will be recorded and posted to Fran Connect. And if we want to do a quarterly town hall, then yeah, that's not a problem at all. But I'd like to have more communication on a weekly basis, and these guys all know that as well. So we just definitely need to let you guys know what's going on. Are you looking to expand X Golf America owned stores similar to New Jersey and the baseball stadium? Yes, and I guess the answer is yes, technically. Um, the problem is that the store right now in the Washington Nationals, and I'll be 100% transparent, has been a failure so far. Um, it's it's at the point where we're not sure if we're going to continue with the Washington Nationals, but we are looking at um, other opportunities for corporate owned stores. Yes. Any other questions? We technically have two other corporate owned stores that you guys might not be aware of, but we did purchase X Golf in Kennewick, Washington, and X Golf in Spokane, Washington, and those were purchased last year, I believe. But those are corporate owned stores as well. It's a good question, Chet. Let me look at that, and we'll see what that looks like as far as releasing uh, the revenues of the corporate owned stores. Go ahead and give me a call anytime, Pete. I'm available. Um, Anything else? Give it 20 seconds here. Have we thought about leasing the Sims instead of buying the Sims? It's a good question. I know that was brought up over the last 4 months. At this time, we are not exploring the option of leasing the Sims. What are the plans with the Portland area stores? That's a good question. We are working through that right now. The Portland area stores, when we run them through Buxton, our system, we're very way too close together. And they had a different method, and I'm just being 100% transparent. Their method was that they were going to sell a lot of lessons and pay a pro a lot of money to do a lot of lessons. They didn't do any leagues, and I think that might have been their downfall at the end of the day. So that's why we harp on leagues as much as we harp on leagues. There is a plan, Trey, to create a list of commonly asked questions. Um, yes, the 10 most problems with the simulator, all those, we are formulating those right now. So it's a good question. All right, 10 more seconds if nothing comes in. The geographical questions as far as amending the FDDs, we're not interested in amending the FDDs, but Buxton, we're going to use Buxton forever as most franchisees do, and we're not gonna, I'm not gonna have crossover between customers, guys. It's we have a certain limited amount of customers, and I'm not gonna rob from Peter to pay Paul, but there's no talks of amending franchise disclosure documents, as it would just cost everybody too much money on the legal side of things. The national meeting, the national conference, we're gonna send out a questionnaire. Once again, as far as the dates that work best for everybody, and we're gonna go democratic on it and probably pick the most popular date that works for everybody to get maximum participation. We're looking at the end of February into March, and it will be again in Denver, Colorado, as we have already paid for that. Then it was subsequently canceled about 2 weeks before. So we have everything lined up and ready to go, just turnkey there. So I think it would be a very good experience for everybody. And we would really heavily encourage it. Will mittens be provided? Pete, you're in New York. It's going to be colder in New York, I promise, than it is in Colorado. We got our first snow last night, and we got about 1 of an inch. So we haven't had any snow out here. So if April would be better, Mark, then we can discuss pushing it out to April. That's fine. I know that, February, March, I just want to make sure that you guys know that we're concentrated on getting you guys the most attention as quickly as possible after that. So after what happened before. So we'll put April in there, and if everybody decides that April is a better time, then we can certainly transition over to April. Not a problem. As far as the social media, I think that we would love to get more social media interaction between the stores. Casey will work on that, Scott. So that's definitely something that we'll work on. Yep, understood, Jared. Definitely. Yeah, I probably need to ask my wife, because I'm sure we have spring break during that time too. So, yep. We'll put in there, whatever the best dates are for everybody, so that we can have maximum attendance, obviously. So when we all get together, 150 minds are much better than the 5 of us up here. So. All right, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to anybody up here, as well as anybody that you feel, especially out of the Colorado office, very, very responsive. We're available at all times of the day, especially you East Coast people. If you guys are opening at 9 or 8, it's really not that early for us. Make sure that if you need to call us to help fix Sims, these guys know. We're ready to help you guys out and provide a level of support that hopefully you'll be impressed with. So that's our number one priority. Thank you, guys. Have a good week. And if I don't talk to anybody, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. But I know Casey will have the meeting on Wednesday. I'll be on that meeting as well. So, but let us know if you have any other questions. Have a good one.